Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Shade Reacts Live. My wife and I today are going to check out Hope by NF, and I wanted to come on here and do a quick apology, I guess, because you're going to hear it. I had technical difficulties. I know it's shocking for those that have been around and been on the Twitch streams, but for some reason, the software I use for our microphones did not pick me up. So this whole video, you're hearing it as if her microphone is picking me up. It doesn't sound great, and I apologize. But luckily, this is a therapy breakdown. So all of the therapy inputs, all of the analysis by Hannah, you can hear crystal clear. She sounds great. What are you going to do? Here is Hope by NF.
Welcome to Shade Reacts.
So any NF fans here, feel free to drop comments in here letting us know what other songs we should check out.
More history if you have it.
Yeah, any lore or history about the guy would be super helpful. No more yapping. Let's jump into it. This is NF Hope.
Hope. Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm coming. Don't lose faith in me. I know you've been waiting. I know you've been praying for my soul. Oh, oh. 30 years you've been dragging your feet, telling me I'm the reason we're stagnant. 30 years you've been claiming you're honest and promising progress. Well, where is it at? I don't want you to feel like a failure. I know this hurts, but I gave you your chance to deliver. Now it's my turn. Don't get me wrong. Nature had a great run, but it's time to give the people something different.
All right, we're a minute in. Okay, I'm gonna let her talk here in a second, but something
I have
picked
many
up,
thoughts.
Okay, something I picked up right away. The intro, first of all, the way that they're filming this is super brilliant.
Yeah.
He's isolated on this raft in the ocean, right? But the very beginning, as it's climbing to where he starts rapping, and just that piano, just a ding 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 starts hitting. It's like a horror movie. It's like a scary movie. It's like it's building and building and building and building, and then ding ding ding.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Well, did you hear the string underneath it? There's this really I think it's a bass. You hear the doo, it almost sounds Jaws-like, which is super
exactly.
cool.
Yeah,
I really
exactly.
like that. But yeah, I mean, it already just initially with the idea of hope is the title of the song, and it starts with him stranded on a raft with no land in sight, and just talking about this idea of 30 years of waiting and hoping that something is going to be different.
Yeah, is he talking shit about his mom?
I don't know. I assume. I mean, he's clearly young, but he could be talking shit about someone else. I have no idea. He's clearly talking about someone that he has a long vested relationship in, which is probably going to be a family member. But yeah, I mean,
he
just
said nature ran its course or something like that. He says some line about nature, and the argument of nature versus nurture.
Right.
It's well, how much of this is nature? How much is this just who I am, what I was born with, versus how I was raised? It's nature ran its course.
You can also tell there's a buildup to something, which is interesting because if he's talking 30 years, right? 30 years of just waiting, 30 years of trying to create movement, and there's a buildup here. You can imagine the level of you can only be patient for so long with someone before you hit a breaking point, and you can feel that in this song already 28 seconds in. So I love that. That's super cool.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to where it kind of drops into the intro of where he's rapping again.
Yeah.
And then we'll let it run for a bit.
30 years you've been dragging your feet, telling me I'm the reason we're stagnant. 30 years you've been claiming you're honest and promising progress. Well, where is it at? I don't want you to feel like a failure. I know this hurts, but I gave you your chance to deliver. Now it's my turn. Don't get me wrong. Nature had a great run. But it's time to give the people something different. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my album. Hope. What's my definition of success?
Just got
Listening to
chills.
what your heart says. Standing up for what you know is right while everybody else is. Tucking their tail between their legs. What's my definition of success? Creating something no one else can. Being brave enough to dream big. Grinding when you're told to just quit. Giving more when you got nothing left. It's a person that'll take a chance on something they were told could never happen. It's a person that can see the bright side through the dark times when there ain't one. It's when someone who ain't never had nothing ain't afraid to walk away from more profit because they rather do something that they really love and take the pay cut. It's a person that would never waver or change who they are just to try and gain some credibility so they can feel accepted by a stranger. It's a person that can take the failures in their life and turn them into motivation. It's believing in yourself when no one else does. It's amazing what a little bit of faith can do. If you don't even believe in you, why would you think or expect anybody else that's around you to? I done did things that I regret. I done said things I can't take back.
That
Was
says
a
real.
lost soul at a crossroad who had no hope, but I changed that. I spent years of my life.
All right. It's been running for a minute.
know, I
It's
just-
been running for a minute. I've been trying to hold off from pausing too much. 'cause
Wow.
I want to let the song run. I don't want to pause at a bad time. But like,
Yeah.
holy shit! So he was isolated in the ocean, and then he got pulled into shore,
Mhm.
and then that whole like, this is my album. It was like all the voices in his head. or
Right,
some shit,
right.
Like he was like my album, and then he just starts going in this flow that's been going like nonstop. That's why I didn't want to pause it. Like the flow's been going nonstop for like a minute and a half.
Mhm. The
What-
symbolism in a lot of these things, and I'm really curious to see, like, already they're showing a huge contrast between the person that we're following versus this, I think, the selves that are all dressed in black. I don't know if you noticed that he's all in white, and all of the people that are pointing him in those directions
Yeah, is that like
is
a
in
hope
black.
thing?
It's interesting. I don't know yet. I mean, they're clearly pushing him in a certain direction, but he's singing about authenticity, and he's singing about this idea of there's a lot of expectation and pressure to conform a specific way, and he's sick of doing it. Like his definition of success is to do something different than anybody else. His definition is to be himself and follow your heart. So it's interesting that he's rapping about this, and he's being directed in a specific way while he's rapping about that. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But clearly there's kind of a trying to go with it, trying to be patient while we're building to this doesn't feel like me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I love it. I think it's fascinating because I can feel like almost the pressure rising, the anxiety rising of it as he's doing it, and the trepidation of it. It just feels like it's building to something big, which is really cool.
Yeah, this motherfucker's laughing at him right now. He's
Yeah.
pointing and laughing.
And his hat says real. That's interesting too. I'm already getting the impression this is a very intentional
yeah.
music that
Oh,
like
for sure. I mean,
everything is just
so my first thoughts when he was dressed in all white, I didn't think about that. I should have made the connection to a hope thing, but I was just thinking like, I'm dumb because I'm like, why does he look so damn stylish when he's out there on the raft? I was like, you know what I mean? He's got the cream on cream color.
Yeah.
He's got the cream on
Mhm.
white. I was like, he looks good. Like, why is he so stylish out on
Yeah.
the raft? And then, of course, now it makes sense. He was wearing different shades of white, and then it's like this guy with the grays and the blacks.
Yeah.
Is clearly like a intentional for sure.
Yeah.
Back was a lost soul at a crossroad who had no hope, but I changed that. I spent years of my life holding on to things I never should have kept, full of hatred. Years of my life carrying a lot of baggage that I should have walked away from. Years of my life wishing I was someone different, looking for some validation. Years of my life trying to fill a void, pretending I was in. They get it.
All right, so before he gets into this, I'm curious from a music standpoint. Like, obviously, cinematically, there's a shift, right?
Yeah.
He went from the ocean, the beach, pushed into this like abandoned building or whatever this is. But I'm wondering if there's also going to be a like a key change or a flow
Yeah.
change or a time signature change to sort of match this change in visuals.
Yeah.
Because usually, I mean, you know how they make these things. Like the music comes first, and they make the video to match. So I'm curious if like that push, that shove, is symbolic to like a shift in how the music's gonna be.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to pause it before we get into it, because that's just my like hypothesis, and I'm sure I'm fucking wrong.
Well, and he got pushed
Yeah, he
into
got
it
fucking bodied into
by
this.
the person who's supposed to be directing him. So
Yeah.
that's interesting too.
Yeah, he got ragdolled into that. He still has his map. See?
And he kept it.
Yeah, he still
Yeah.
has his map.
That's interesting.
I don't look that good in white. I don't look good wearing white clothes. Eno's got it figured out.
Pain's a necessary evil, difficult to go through, yes, but beneficial. Some would say having a mental breakdown is a negative thing, which on one hand I agree, but on the other hand, it was the push I needed to get help and start the healing process. See, if I'd never hit my bottom, would I be the person that I am today? I don't believe so. I'm a prime example of what happens when you choose to not accept defeat and face your demons. Took me 30 years to realize that if you want to get the opportunity to be the greatest version of
In a
yourself,
cage.
sometimes you gotta be someone you're not to hear the voice of reason. Having kids will make you really take a step back and look in the mirror. At least for me, that's what it did. Wake up every day and pick my son up, hold him in my arms and let him know he's loved. Standing by the window, questioning if that is ever going to show up. Isn't something he's gonna have to worry about. Don't get it twisted, that was in a shot. Mama, I forgive you, I just don't want him to grow up thinking that he'll never be enough. 30 years of running, 30 years of searching, 30 years of hurting, 30 years of pain, 30 years of fearful, 30 years of anger, 30 years of empty, 30 years of shame, 30 years of broken, 30 years of anguish, 30 years of hopeless, 30 years of hey, 30 years of never, 30 years of maybe, 30 years of later, 30 years of faith, 30 years of hollow, 30 years of sorrow, 30 years of darkness, 30 years of hate, 30 years of baggage, 30 years of sadness, 30 years of stagnant, 30 years of change, 30 years of patience, 30 years of suffering, 30 years of torment, 30 years of 30 years of bitter, 30 years of lonely, 30 years of pushing everyone away. You'll never revolve. I know I can change. We are not enough. We are not the same. You don't have the heart. You don't have the strength. You don't have the will. You don't have the faith. You'll never be loved. You'll never be safe. Might as well give up. Not running away. You don't have the guts. You're the one afraid. I'm the one in charge. I'm taking the reins.
No way, that's the end. No, fuck you. No way. We're listening
I
to that
know.
shit again.
I love that.
We're going back. We're going
I love
back.
everything about that end. That is exactly what I wanted for that build up. That is wow. I am so impressed. I am so impressed.
Did
Just
that not give you high Ren feel? Like high Ren vibes? He was like looking left and right. When he
well,
was
and
talking?
so it goes from like it felt like choices, right? He's in this hallway and he's opening up all of these doors and it's him in all of these different versions. So all of these choices he has in life, right? And then there's a kidnap moment and that catharsis that we're talking about here, him standing on the middle of that mountaintop, just screaming out like, enough, I've done this for 30 years. That is gold. Just the ability to like the catharsis of letting something like that out. You have all of these choices and then you have this moment of like, fuck this, I'm done. Amazing.
But did he kidnap himself?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because clearly
He's the one who like it was versions of him like pushed him into this thing. Like, did he kidnap himself and pull him out of it? Is that what it was?
I mean, how I'm interpreting this, and obviously everybody's going to have different interpretations, but this feels like the innocent version of him, right? Almost like he's dressed all in white. Yeah. Yes, like he's confused, he's wandering, and all of these parts of himself. I think in one of the Ren videos, I talk about IFS, internal family systems, and this feels very similar to that, with the whole idea of different parts of himself, and they all have an opinion on the direction he needs to go, or at minimum, they have a fear of where it's headed.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I feel like I've seen this a bunch, maybe not in music as much until recently, with like listening to like Ren in his style. But what I see frequently, I see a lot of like what he talks about in this like 30 years band, which we're gonna re-listen to that again and see if we pick anything up now that we're like diagnosing it. But what I see a bunch is that like if you're a young man and you're raised without like a mother, without a father, like when you get old enough and you have your own kid, it's so frequent that like that is your main goal, is that you don't like that you are available, that you're there for that kid. And it's interesting because like if you ask that same person, I bet they tell you like, yeah, my dad wasn't around, but it's fine. I grew up just fine without him. I grew up just fine without my dad. But then when you ask them about their kid, it's like, my kid will never not have a dad around. And it's interesting, right? Like, I don't know that there's no fucking science behind my opinion. Whatever I say is just out of my fucking gut. Like, but that's just what I see. It's what I acknowledge is that, you know, folks who grow up without like a particular family figure,
Yeah.
it's like they try to make sure that they like their kid does not have that.
Oh, and it's interesting because he did something at the very beginning of this video that I see really often when it comes to specifically the therapy aspect of it. Being angry at I'm going off of the assumption this is a parent. I could be wrong. So please tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah, but even the 30 years of and what's interesting is he did something at the very beginning of the music video when he talked about I don't want to hurt you, but I know this is going to hurt, right? And that's something I see really often for people who are starting to confront how their parent hurt them is I feel like I'm shitting on this person that did their best, or I feel like I'm demonizing my parent, and that's not necessarily what I want to do. And I mean, it's deeply painful to be very angry at the person that you love, right?
Sacrifice so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I got the impression at the beginning of this that he's starting to come to the realization of just the things that he didn't get. And it's creating this really painful experience of, I don't want to hurt you, and you hurt me.
Yeah.
And that combo is really, really hard to come to terms with. But very clearly, this is a I'm choosing myself video.
It's like, so we just finished watching Ted Lasso.
Oh, so good.
On Apple TV. It's on Apple TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just pull that on my ass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we finished watching Ted Lasso, and there's a scene in Ted Lasso where he like confronts his mom. So spoiler if you haven't seen it. Towards the end of the show, or at least what's released right now. I think they're doing another season. But he like confronts his mom, who's also just like this guy. He's overly positive. Like everyone fucking loves Ted. And his mom comes around, overly positive. Everyone loves his mom, but Ted has this like this
resentment.
Anger, like resentment towards her.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, he finally confronts her, and he's like, "Thank you so much for being such a good mom, and fuck you for not, you know, talking." I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't seen it, but like, essentially, he uses this line of like, "Thank you, but fuck you," and he does it like 3 different times, and like by the end of it, like Hannah and I are just in tears on the couch watching this fucking show, which is crazy, right? Yeah. We're just like bawling. We're just like, "Holy shit, this was so powerful." And he's like, "Thank you for doing all of this, but fuck you," and it's like, holy crap, like it's so hard to imagine being in his position, but then like he's saying it and it's like you're there, like you're empathizing because you get it. Yes, I know I just ramble for a bit, but I do want to re-listen to this and then we'll wrap up here. But holy cow,
amazing,
this guy. How the fuck did I turn this into a Ted Lasso reference?
This is really well done.
Any of you guys who've seen Ted Lasso, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about, and you're probably like, yes, that's it. Yeah, that's like an old version of him, right? That's what this is.
That's what I got the impression. But he has the keys. Do you see that?
Yeah.
The older version has the keys sitting inside the cage.
Yeah, he can't let himself out.
Oh, I'm a perfect example of what happens when you choose to not accept defeat and face your demons. Took me 30 years to realize that if you want to get the opportunity to be the greatest version of yourself, sometimes you gotta be someone you're not to hear the voice of reason. Having kids will make you really take a step back and look in the mirror. At least for me, that's what it did.
But here he has the black lipstick or whatever.
I know. Well, he's integrating all the parts.
Because he doesn't have it right away. Look, he doesn't have it right away, but he gets it.
Yeah.
Wake up every day.
See?
Yes.
He doesn't have that black paint, but he definitely gets it at some point. I wonder when that is.
It's as he's letting all of it out. That's where you start to see
questioning if that is ever going to show up. Isn't something he's gonna have to worry about. Don't get it twisted, that was in the shop. Mama, I forgive you, I just don't want him to grow up thinking that he'll never be enough. 30 years of running, 30 years of searching, 30 years of hurting, 30 years of pain, 30 years of fearful, 30 years of anger, 30 years of empty, 30 years of shame, 30 years of broken, 30 years of anguish, 30 years of hopeless, 30 years of hate, 30 years of never, 30 years of maybe. 30 years of broken, 30 years of anguish, 30 years of hopeless, 30 years of hate, 30 years of never, 30 years of maybe, 30 years of later, 30 years of fate, 30 years of hollow, 30 years of sorrow, 30 years of darkness, 30 years of hate, 30 years of baggage, 30 years of sadness, 30 years of stagnant, 30 years of change, 30 years of patience, 30 years of suffering, 30 years of torment, 30 years of 30 years of bitter, 30 years of lonely, 30 years of pushing everyone away. You'll never revolve. I know I can change. We are not enough. We are not the same. You don't have the heart. You don't have the strength. You don't have the will. You don't have the faith.
Yeah, it's just self-talk.
It's the going the back and forth and back and forth.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Yeah. It's like this vial. It's like this ichor, like growing inside, like coming out of his mouth.
He's fighting it. It's like fighting it off almost.
Yeah.
Oh, not enough. We are not the same. You don't have the heart. You don't have the strength. You don't have the will. You don't have the faith. You'll never be loved. You'll never be safe. Might as well give up. Not running away. You don't have the guts. You're the one afraid. I'm the one in charge. I'm taking up. Rains.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah, that fight
It's
off of the
growing.
darkness. Yes.
It's like it's gonna grow until he comes back and says something
Oh.
on the outtake. Oh.
Wow.
Yay!
Yeah, that is.
In motherfucking F.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed.
Wow.
That is amazing.